Welcome to MissouriNet.com. I'm Bill Pollack, and we're going to talk some high school sports, high school football. And joining me, a guy that I see, I hear, I read tweets from all over the place, Jim Powers. Jim, I've seen you at basketball games. We've talked about doing these Google Hangouts. You reached out to me the other day, said you saw some 7-on-7 football, and I want to talk about that. But there's times I'm doing Hangouts with Jason about state baseball, and then I look and you're tweeting from the other side of the state with girls soccer. Before we get started, just for my listeners,
Sure.
Tell everyone what you do, because you do a lot. You're everywhere.
Well, basically, my full-time position is with the broadcasting company that handles all of the state championship broadcasts for Misha. So, I basically coordinate all those productions, all those internet broadcasts. If we go to TV, all the television broadcasts. So basically, yeah, I get to travel the whole state for all the state championships and make sure that the productions are getting off the ground, make sure the quality's good. I hire all the talent. I basically, when it comes to the broadcasting side, I work hand in hand with Jason and the association and ensuring that everything is going to be broadcast, everything is going to be streamed, and it's going to look good and really portray Misha the way that they want it to be portrayed.
All right, that's your main duty. Now,
Yeah.
What else are you doing?
Well, every now and then Jason will ask me to help out with some different things. I'll help them out. Like this year, helped out at soccer because I was planning on being at soccer anyway. So helping do stats for soccer. Basically whenever Jason needs a helping hand with something, and I've been doing that with Jason and with Rick Kindhart before Jason came to Misha. Just whatever I can do to help out because I just love high school sports, and it's great that the kids get the opportunities that they do.
And I was just going to ask you about that, about where you get your passion from. As I get a little bit older, I get a little more cynical. And so I watch the pro sports and now even college, and, you get the business aspect of it and the money that's involved in it. And you kind of look at things a little different. And I want to think that high school sports is still a little pure, but now I'm seeing recruiting things that dip into that. I see the way that parents are kind of treating their kids as, hey, they could be the next star, and kind of getting it from both ends. But is high school sports still pure?
It is to an extent, but I agree with you. I think the recruiting services, I think the parents now really pushing, the kids to specialize. That's why, and you've seen a lot of tweets that I send out. I really try to stay away from the recruiting side of things. That's not my forte. My forte is to educate student athletes and parents on, what's out there, what could be happening. And one of the best things that I like to do is if I stumble across something that pertains to multi-sport athletes. I come from a background of coaching. I coached basketball, coached football, coached baseball and softball back in Ohio for many years. And I ran into a situation coaching basketball, my first head coaching job. 3 of my best players were also outstanding volleyball players. And they decided they didn't want to play basketball. They just wanted to concentrate on volleyball. And it really got me thinking about, specialization and different things like that. And I look for stuff that says, hey, you're looking at people that are successful, that are multi-sport athletes in high school. When you look at the draft, when you look at who colleges are recruiting, and that's kind of the word that I try and get out to folks. And, it's been very well received in a lot of the retweets and a lot of the favors and a lot of the quotes that I get. But I think high school sports is pure to an extent. But as we move forward into the future, I'm not so sure because of you've got the recruiting aspect. You got everybody trying to be number one. You've got the ESPNs of the world, and I'm not bashing what they do, but you've got them trying to put games on TV and monopolize money and different things like that. So it's really starting to turn into a situation where high school sports is turning into a big business as well.
Yeah, it is. And, it's kind of neat because you have an opportunity. We've had games here in Missouri that have been on ESPN, and it's a chance for kids that, probably 99% of those kids are never going to get on TV with their athletics. And now you have a chance to play because you've got some interesting matchup. I mean, so there's a give and take there. I mean, there's certainly some pluses for kids to be able to say, yeah, I played a game on ESPN once. And so, it's a fine balance.
No, and I agree with you. I mean, they had the game down in Webb City a couple years ago. We had the big couple years ago in St. Louis with Bradley Beal and, Chaminade against McClure North in, when the BJ, I forget his last name, but, they were two of the, BJ Young, they were two of the top recruits coming out, and they packed the place. So, no, I mean, it's cool that ESPN does that, but I also look at the other side of the coin to where, okay, now you're saying, okay, this kid's number 400 in our recruiting service, or he's the third best wide receiver. And I think that gets convoluted a little bit because you got so many scouting services, nobody knows who to believe. And, perfect example is Jason Tatum. Some people had him number 1, some people had him number 2, some people had him number 3. Who do you believe in all this stuff? So, but, it's really neat that they're able to do that. But once again, you look at the other side and it's like, really, are we getting into this for the right reasons?
Talking with Jim Powers, we're talking about high school sports. Now, you were at a 7-on-7 tournament. Kind of fill people in. This was really a drill, basically, to kind of keep linemen out of it in terms of high school sports, and it's turned into now tournaments and the ability for skilled position players to work on their skills without a lot of the contact, without the pressure of having linemen coming after you or blitzing. Talk a little bit about the format, and then talk about what you saw past a weekend or
I was up at the Spent on Saturday for the St. Louis Coaches Association has their annual 7-on-7, and it's great for the kids. Once again, you use it as one of your contact days that you're allowed to have in June, and basically it just really gives the kids more opportunity to work with each other, to be able to sync each other up. For new coaches, it's outstanding because you've got to start putting in that offensive system, that defensive system somehow, someplace, and what better position to do it than in a 7-on-7. So, 7-on-7s are very simple. You start at the 40-yard line, play it just like a regular game from the 40-yard line in, and you get X amount of points for a touchdown. If you intercept, you get points. If you stop on downs, you get points. It's all passing. There's no running, no scrambling. Quarterbacks can't, tuck and run. And it's really neat for the quarterbacks, the receivers, tight ends to kind of get in sync with each other before they get into full contact drills in August. But the format that they use over in St. Louis is tremendous. And I think a lot of people around the state are starting to really grasp the 7-on-7. I know a lot of coaches, they're seeing the SEC states saying, well, we got spring football. I don't think you need spring football when you have this opportunity in the month of June. And I think it's better in the month of June because you're a little bit closer to the season. The kids aren't going to forget that much over the downtime in July. So 7-on-7s take the place of those camps. And believe me, the linemen are getting their workouts too because there's actually lineman challenges out there. I know St. Dominic's did a 7-on-7 and a lineman challenge coinciding with each other to where the big guys, they do little speed drills. They'll do lifting and different things like that to kind of show where they're at as well. So, but 7-on-7s, I think, is the wave of the future. I love what the high schools are doing with it here in the state of Missouri. I know down in Springfield there was a big one. There's a big one coming up tomorrow night with a lot of the schools down in the southwest corner of the state. I know Kansas City's had a couple 7-on-7 tournaments, and St. Louis, we've had 4 tournaments in the last 4 days. So it's really cool for the kids to get an opportunity to get out there. You see some of the college coaches there, not the D1 guys, a lot of the NAIA, a lot of the Division III coaches. They'll come out to see these 7-on-7s just to kind of look for those juniors and sophomores to start building in their recruiting process.
Now, people who have never seen this before, they want to know, is there tackling? How does the quarterback get rid of the football? Somebody standing there. Remember, like when we'd play touch football, you got one Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, you charge after them.
2-hand touch, no tackling. They wear helmets, no pads. But 2-hand touch. And the quarterback has 4 seconds to get rid of the football. If he doesn't get rid of it in 4 seconds, it's like a loss of down basically. So it's second down from the previous spot. But yeah, it's there's nobody really covering the quarterback. The quarterback kind of gets to do his own little thing, but he's got 4 seconds to get rid of it. And once again, I think that kind of helps out with the development of quarterbacks because it's showing them, hey, I got to get rid of the ball quick. I got to make my read, get my progression, and I've got to get rid of it quick. Even if I throw it out of bounds, I'm still getting rid of it within 4 seconds.
And I think a point that probably needs to be made, because we were just talking about kids playing multiple sports, different sports.
Yes.
Now you're asking kids to step out of that traditional football season and play in June. But this isn't above and beyond what's required or what they can do. This has to fit within the framework of their practices and allotted time. So it's not additional time that these kids are being taken away from something else.
Oh, no, absolutely. And once again, Saturday at the Smet, some of the top kids, they weren't there for some of their teams because they were playing in a baseball tournament. And I loved hearing that. I mean, yeah, there's a couple kids that I was really looking forward to seeing. But then I also understood they're playing with their club baseball teams. Like in St. Louis, it's the Slava League or American Legion. And, yeah, you're exactly right. They try and fit it in to where they can get all their kids. But, every now and then you're going to get that, player that's playing a baseball tournament that can't make it or going on vacation that can't make it. It's not a mandatory thing, and the coaches don't make it mandatory. And that's the good thing about being able to do the 7-on-7s like this is because you want everybody to be there. You kind of ask everybody to be there, but there's no punishment if you can't be there for a certain thing or whatever. So, yeah, it's really neat. Like I said, when I heard a couple of coaches saying, yeah, one of my receivers, he's a great shortstop for his high school team. He's playing in a baseball tournament. He's not here today. To me, that's awesome to hear, especially for the coach to come out and say that. Because a lot of coaches, this as well as I do, would say, yeah, so-and-so's not here today. Wouldn't give any reason. But I really think a lot of people are starting to see that multi-sport athletes are going to get recruited more over than the specialized athletes.
Yeah, and that's good to see, too, because you don't want kids burning out. You see that all the time, too, where they get locked into a sport, and then they have some talent, but by the time they're 16, 17, they're burned out. Say, I'm done. I want something different. So.
Oh, you're exactly right. And I see that I see that way too many times, way too much. Soccer, basketball, you just see these guys grinding 11, 12 months out of the year. And these kids get burned out. You got to remember, we're dealing with high school student athletes that are 15, 16, 17, 18. They're going to have 4 more years after high school if they make it to Division I, Division II, to where they're going to be grinding for 11 months on one sport, plus juggling their college, classes. You got to give these kids a little bit of a breather, and I really like that some of these coaches are starting to do that.
As we're talking with Jim Powers, Jim, and I think Misha, when it comes to head injuries and taking care of student athletes, they're at the forefront in the country. And we've had conversations on our Hangouts with Jason and Dr. Erhan. Is 7-on-7, though, looking into the future, is this something that could replace traditional football if head injuries continue to be an issue?
I hope not, because you're then taking a group of kids that are linemen. What are you going to do with them? I agree with you. In all my travels with my job, going to Nebraska, going to Oklahoma, Arkansas, I think Misha is way ahead of everybody when it comes to protocol with concussions and education. I think there's ways that we can keep the game of football safe. I think the coaches have to buy in, number one. The parents have to buy in, number two. And the kids really got to understand that this is how you got to do it. If you do it this way, you're not going to get hurt. And they've got to buy in as well. I hope it doesn't get to that point. I've heard a lot of grumbling, a lot of rumbling that, there's a major push for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade to not go into contact, to just play flag football, basically. And I really hope it doesn't get to that. I hope everybody can continue to just keep educating, learning, and teaching, tackling the right way. If we do that, I think we're going to avoid concussions, but also the technology with the helmets. I think that's going to be key. And I really think you're seeing the helmet companies, the Riddells of the world and the Schuts of the world. I think they're starting to see that they've got to start coming up with some products that are going to help alleviate concussions when it comes down to it.
You know what? And I think the worst thing you could do is have 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th playing flag football. And then when these kids are bigger, stronger, they start maturing, and now you want them to go and tackle. They've gone 3-4 years where they don't know how to do it. Now you're really putting a kid in danger.
Oh, no, without a doubt. And I'm a former football coach. I understand the importance of getting the kids in the 5th grade level and teaching them how to tackle the right way then, so they can work through it in their junior high days. That way, when they come into high school, they know the proper technique, the proper fundamentals. And I agree with you. If they try to turn 5th grade, 6th grade, feeder programs, 7th and 8th grade junior high programs, or feeder programs still into flag football or two-hand touch, that very well could spell the death of football, because I just don't see how kids are going to be able to make that jump from 8th grade to 9th grade, not tackling, to having to learn how to tackle. And I think that's going to affect play all across the country.
Yeah, absolutely. Jim, where can people find you?
You can find us on our website, highschoolsportscaravan.com. We're going to start getting some fresh content up here over the next couple of weeks. We'll start getting out to visit a lot of the coaches over in the St. Louis area before drills start in August. And then Twitter-wise, you can find me at HS Sports Caravan. Keep up with all of the great things going on the high school level. I'll chime in every now and then on the college level. And, I had to make my LeBron James tweet the other night, being from Northeast Ohio. Finally getting a national championship was unbelievable. So, but a lot of high school stuff on my Twitter feed. And, it's great to finally turn the corner and start getting ready for football. I know, getting a little taste of it on Saturday, I got home and I was excited. I'm like 8 weeks, and then we can get back to it. So I'm looking forward to the high school season this year.
Yeah, that's great. Jim, thanks a lot for your time. And let's do this again real soon, especially as we get close to football. We can start previewing some of the big teams in the season that lies ahead.
Absolutely. Would love to hang out with you guys anytime.
All right, that's great. Jim Powers joining us. Thanks a lot for watching us here at MissouriNet.com, and we'll talk to you again soon.